Haaland is currently one of the best strikers in the world, having won a treble, the Premier League Golden Boot, and the European Golden Shoe. He was also the runner-up for the 2023 Ballon d'Or. Kylian Mbappe scored a hat-trick in the 2022 World Cup final, was the top scorer at that tournament, was the Liga top goal scorer for a joint record 5 seasons, and is PSG's all-time record goal scorer. TikTok star Robert Lewandowski scored 344 goals in 375 games for Bayern and scored 33 and 46 for Barcelona last season, whilst being in his mid-30s. Harry Kane scored 32 goals in 49 games in a quite frankly depressing Spurs team last season, and has 27 goals in 26 games for Bayern Munich right now. These are some of the best strikers in the world, but there is one name that deserves to be up there as well. He is currently the deadliest forward in the world right now. He is just hitting his prime. The guy is terrorizing Serie A defenses, firing enter to the top of the table, having 22 goals in 28 games at the time of this recording. Manager Maurizio Pochettino rated him as one of the best strikers in the world, and former Argentina and Inter Milan striker Hernan Crespo likened him to Sergio Aguero. He is an attacking menace, being in the 91st percentile or more for total shots, non-penalty XG, and non-penalty goals. That is around the same level as Lewandowski, Kane, Haaland, and Mbappe. But the thing that distinguishes him from the rest is his defensive work rate. He averages 1.16 tackles per 90 and is in the 99th and 86th percentile for interceptions and blocks respectively. Compare that to the other forwards I just mentioned, who average around a third of his defensive output. For the normal, not so nerdy people watching this video, those are insane statistics. No average striker does this. For an American comparison, he is performing as well as Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce have performed this year in the NFL. I'm talking, of course, about Lautaro Martinez, and in truth, he has been one of the best for a while. But nobody seems to be talking about it. So sit back, relax, and join me as we go through the career of one of the most underrated forwards in the world, Lautaro Javier Martinez. Martinez was born in Bahia Blanca, in Buenos Aires. He followed in his father's footsteps to become a professional footballer, joining local side Liniers. He excelled at the U17 level. In 2013, he scored 13 goals in the U17 league and netted in the final of the National Cup, though Liniers ultimately lost on penalties to Rosario. Despite that setback, Martinez's form at youth level caught the attention of Racing Club interim coach Fabio Randelli, who subsequently signed him in January 2014. Soon after joining the club, Martinez began suffering from homesickness and wanted to return to his hometown of Bahia Blanca. He was ultimately convinced by teammate Brian Mancia to stay, and he went on to score 53 goals in 64 games for the club's reserve side, being sought after by Spanish giants Real Madrid, but he chose to remain in Argentina. Martinez's father, Mario, later revealed that he chose to stay with Racing at the time, and he was not ready to leave the club. His league debut followed on the 1st of November 2015, when he came on as a second-half substitution for Diego Milito in a 3-0 win over Cruzeiro del Norte. His first couple seasons were rough, making sporadic appearances off the bench, but following an injury to regular striker Lisandro Lopez, he would find his feet, scoring or assisting 10 goals in 22 games. He ended the year with a man-of-the-match performance, scoring once and assisting another in a 3-0 win over Gimnasia. Next season at Racing, he would be even more prolific, scoring an incredible 18 goals in 1,784 minutes in the league, or 1 goal contribution every 99 minutes. And on his Copa Libertadores debut against Brazilian side Cruzeiro, he scored a hat-trick and Racing won the match 4-2. Later that year, he would make his full debut for the Argentinian national team in a 4-0 friendly win over Iraq, during which he also scored his first senior international goal. Martinez was linked with a transfer to Italian side Inter Milan, and on the 5th of May, Racing Club president Victor Blanco confirmed that the sale had gone through. In the summer of 2018, Martinez joined Inter Milan for a reported fee of 22.7 million euros, or about $24.5 million. Martinez scored his first European goal on February 14, 2019, netting a penalty to help Inter win against Rapid Vienna in the first leg of the 2018-19 UEFA Europa League round of 32. In his first derby match against rivals AC Milan, Martinez first assisted Matheus Vicenço's header before scoring a penalty in the second half, helping Inter to win 3-2. He would end up making 11 goal contributions in 35 games in his debut season. In his second season at Inter, Martinez would only improve, scoring 14 goals and assisting 5 times in 2,466 minutes. That is a goal contribution every 130 minutes, and in the Champions League, he would hit top form, scoring his first goal in the UCL in a 2-1 away defeat to Barcelona in the group stage. Later in the competition, by scoring a brace in a 3-1 away win against Slavia Prague, Martinez reached 2 milestones. He became only the 4th Inter player and the 5th Argentine player to score in 4 consecutive Champions League games. He would also score in a 3-2 loss against Dortmund. Unfortunately, Inter Milan finished 3rd, dropping down into the Europa League. Martinez would make an impact in the Europa League, playing an important part in Inter Milan's run to the final. He would get an assist in the competition and bag a brace in the semi-finals in a 5-0 win over Shakhtar Donetsk. Unfortunately, they would lose 3-2 in the final. Despite the loss, Martinez would further refine his abilities, as he would be the talisman for Inter, leading them to their first Scudetto in over a decade. While he wouldn't make that much of an impact in the Champions League, Martinez was on fire in Serie A. In truth, Inter Milan were a great team under Antonio Conte, with the likes of Barella, Brozovic, Skriniar, De Vrij, and €43 million signing Achraf Hakimi hitting top form. Martinez would strike up a great partnership with Romelu Lukaku. They would score 42 goals and bag 17 assists in Serie A combined. Unfortunately, they crashed in the UCL group stages and lost to Juventus in the Coppa Italia semifinals. But their league form was incredible. Inter Milan started the season in decent form, beating Fiorentina 3-1 and thrashing Benevento 5-2, as well as drawing away at Lazio, with Martinez getting 4 goal contributions in 3 games, but a loss to their rivals AC Milan was a hard pill to swallow. However, after that devastating loss, Inter would hit form again. They would go on a 10-game unbeaten streak, beating the likes of Napoli and Torino, with Martinez scoring a hat-trick against Crotone and getting another 6 goal contributions. After a 2-1 loss to Sampdoria in January, Inter would go on an even more impressive run of form, going unbeaten until May, beating the likes of Juventus, Atalanta, Lazio, Roma, and AC Milan. Martinez would contribute 8 goals and 6 assists during that time. While these stats seem good, it is important to note that he was either playing as a center forward or a second striker, and not an out-and-out striker. He was not only tasked with dragging Inter up the pitch and scoring goals and creating chances, but also expected to track back and defend. If you are struggling to follow along, which I don't blame you, the TLDR is that Inter were dominant, only losing 3 games all season, becoming the best team in Italy, and Martinez being Inter's most important player. There was also another player, Romelu Lukaku, who was Serie A Footballer of the Year and was in the Serie A Team of the Year, but that's not important for this video. Inter would unsurprisingly end up winning the Scudetto and later the Supercoppa Italiana. Martinez was very unfortunate to miss out on being named in the Serie A Team of the Season. During that season, he would also impress in World Cup qualifiers as well, netting 7 goals and bagging 4 assists in 14 games. Despite being subbed off for most of those games, his impressive form for club and country would see him called up to the 2021 Copa America. Argentina was, dominant, having the likes of Angel Di Maria, Christian Romero, Angel Correa, and, of course, Lionel Messi. Argentina won 3 and drew 1 of their first 4 group stage games. One of those was a 4-1 curb stomping of Bolivia, with Martinez contributing with a goal.
He would also score against Ecuador in the quarterfinals and Colombia in the semis to put Argentina in the final against their great rivals Brazil, beating them 1-0 and winning it all. Next season, Martinez would only improve. While they lost on the title to rivals AC Milan, it would be a milestone for Martinez as he scored 25 goals and 49 games in all competitions and being the third highest goal scorer in Serie A. He would go on to win the Coppa Italia, scoring twice in a 3-0 win over AC Milan in the semis and assisted in the final, helping beat Juve 4-2 on penalties. So far, so good, right? But the 2022-23 season would prove to be his magnum opus, putting up the best numbers of his career and winning the greatest trophy in football, the World Cup. But more on that in a bit. I could spend another hour talking about the rise and fall of Serie A and Italian football, but the TLDR is that Serie A was the best in the world in the 80s and throughout the early 2000s. But ever since the increased revenue of other European leagues and the Calciopoli scandal, Serie A has declined. The last time an Italian club reached the Champions League final was in 2017, and the last time an Italian club won it was in 2010. So in hindsight, it would take a minor miracle for an Italian club to make it to the top of European football. Well, Martinez would make that miracle happen and prove that it was possible. In Serie A, Inter Milan would have a decent but far from spectacular season, finishing third behind Lazio and a world-class Napoli team. But individually, Martinez would only get better, scoring 21 goals and assisting 7 in 38 Serie A games, often hitting frequent purple patches of form. He would start well, scoring 3 in his first 4 games, but then scoring none in Inter's next 5 games, before coming back to score 3 and assist 3 in 6 games. He would later get a call-up to the Argentine national team for the 2022 FIFA World Cup, which would be the best, but also not the best for Martinez. Let me explain. Watching the tournament, I could see that Argentina didn't have the strongest squad. They were relying on a 35-year-old Messi and a Di Maria who was past his prime and having a disappointing season at Juventus. They needed key upgrades in most positions, but remarkably, they dominated the tournament, beating a world-class France team in one of the greatest World Cup finals of all time. However, while Martinez was now a World Cup winner, having completed international football, his performances were, well, underwhelming to say the least. He didn't score or assist all tournament and had a plethora of missed chances. He was widely criticized for his lack of impact and had a perception of being carried. However, that is a bit unfair. It was Martinez's contributions that got them to the 22 World Cup. I'm not saying that he was solely responsible, I'm just saying that he was an important figure. Plus, several world-class players have had a subpar 22 World Cup. His former teammate, Lukaku, was criticized for his missed chances in front of goal. Eden Hazard hardly played, and Ronaldo was significantly absent, despite being his country's star man for over a decade. While it would do some damage to their legacies as players, it shouldn't be how they are defined, and I feel with Martinez, that is how fans who don't watch Serie A will view him. However, his critics would choke on their own words, as Martinez would finish as the second highest goal scorer in Serie A. He would win his second consecutive Coppa Italia, scoring 2 goals in the final, and embark on one of the most unlikely Champions League runs that we have seen from an Italian club in a decade. Inter finished second in the group stage behind Bayern Munich, thrashing Victoria Plzen and Barcelona at the San Siro. A 3-3 draw with Barcelona away was enough to see them through, with Martinez scoring and assisting in that game. Inter Milan was drawn against Porto in the round of 16, beating them 1-0 on aggregate. They faced another Portuguese side, Benfica, in the quarterfinals, beating them 2-0 in the first leg, and getting a 3-3 draw against them to see Inter through, with Martinez scoring and assisting. They faced the Rossoneri in the semifinals, beating them 3-0 on aggregate, with Martinez scoring again to put them through against Manchester City in the final. Truly, the Sky Blues were the better team, with the likes of De Bruyne, Mahrez, Silva, and Premier League Golden Boot winner Erling Haaland. However, the game was much closer than you'd think. Martinez would be a constant goal threat. Francisco Acerbi didn't give Haaland an inch, rendering him useless. It was a scrappy 1-0 win, rather than a demolition. Reflecting on that Champions League run, 3 goals in 13 games may not sound impressive, but it is important to note that Martinez contributed in so many other ways. His defensive work rate off the ball, his ability to start attacks, and his constant goal threat contributed to Inter's run to the final of the Champions League. And now Martinez is truly hitting his prime, scoring 25 goals in 33 games at the time of this recording, chasing down the Serie A Golden Boot and leading Inter Milan to the top of the table, firmly in the hunt for the Scudetto. Time will tell how Martinez's career will pan out, but from what we have seen, he has only gotten better and better, and there is every chance that he could become one of the greatest players of his generation. Just as long as he doesn't sign for Chelsea. Oh, never mind then. Martinez is doomed. Nah, I'm just kidding. And that is the end of the video. If you enjoyed, please feel free to like, share, comment, and subscribe. If you have a player or a crazy story you would like me to cover, let me know in the comments below, and I will see you next time.